Hi everyone, my name is Laya DeLeon Hayes, and you are watching Blacks.
Angry Black Girl and Equalizer. They
Yes.
both have themes of like justice, resilience.
Yeah.
Why was it so important to be a part of both of these projects?
I think like acting in general and the types of characters that I want to play and stories I want to be a part of, I always want to play women or characters that I haven't seen depicted on screen before. Specifically with Equalizer, then I'll touch on Angry Black Girl. But one, I had always dreamt of a series regular role. Yeah, that was like the minute I moved to California to pursue acting. I was 9 at the time, and I just wanted to like do Disney Channel when I was younger. But when Equalizer came along, that was probably like 6 or 7 years into my journey, and I had done so many guest spots and so many co-star roles and commercials, like everything in between, a lot of voiceover work too. And I was just like, I want consistent work and I would love to be around great actors. Equalizer fell into my lap, and at that time I think a lot of actors and creatives can relate to the feeling of just, you get a job and you feel so grateful for it, and you just want to keep the job and like hold it tight with your hands and hope that nothing goes wrong, especially when you're in an audition cycle so much. But even when I was 15 when I booked it, and I remember reading the script and seeing a character like Delilah, who was at the time, like in season one, she was definitely a bit privileged and a bit uppity and like and had a bit of an attitude towards her mom. And it was interesting just to read a character that wasn't feeding into certain stereotypes that I was very used to reading about when scripts would come along my table. um, and so to know that, and then also that a Black woman would be leading the role of the Equalizer. I loved the Equalizer movies when I was 10. So to know that it was also going to be female led as well was another reason why I so badly wanted to be a part of it. And at the time, I was just very grateful that I booked it and that I had an opportunity to be around such talented people and learn from them. And I think more of my understanding and love for the character kind of grew as time progressed. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. Um, but it's always a goal as an artist and as a creative to make sure the characters that I'm playing have an impact on the people who are going to be watching them. I think our role as artists is way bigger sometimes than we even give ourselves credit for. It's very easy to look at acting as like, oh, you're just pretending or you're just playing. It's not really like a serious job. You're not doing brain surgery, and we're not. But also at the same time, like you are, depending on if it's somebody who doesn't have a TV and it's their first time watching television or first time watching a movie in a theater, and they see a depiction of a Black woman on their screen, if we're feeding into stereotypes, that's how they're going to think all Black people are. um, and I look up to people like Sidney Poitier and like even Lorraine Toussaint, who I work with, who plays Aunt Vi, and people like Cicely Tyson, who had a clear vision of the types of characters that they were playing and how they wanted to be represented and how they wanted to represent their community. So I think I follow that MO, and I always have since I started. And Angry Black Girl and Our Monster was just that was literally an extension of that. I am so lucky and grateful that I got to be a part of that film. And I had never seen or read anything like that before. So to play a young girl who's extremely intelligent and who's also in a situation and a setting that we all very much know. It's like we have an understanding of what this place is and who these characters are and who these people are. And to have a young girl who you kind of think you know who she is, and immediately when the movie starts you're like, oh no, that's not what this is at all. Again, I think my goal through acting um, is to represent communities of people and women that I wanted to see depicted on screen when I was a kid. and still yearn to see on screen now. So I'm always looking at that from 8-year-old me's perspective of watching TV and film, and hopefully everything that I do, and not even hopefully, because I feel like I have so much control over that. I want everything I do to be an extension of that goal.
Were you the first series regular to be playing alongside two legends, like closely, but also it's multi generational? As a young actor, how has that helped shift your perspective as well as like helped you on your journey?
Everything. I feel like I've learned so much these past 5 years of being on Equalizer, just with how to speak up when you're on set as a young Black woman, um, what to look for in directors and people you want to collaborate with, even if it is what questions to ask and what to say when something doesn't feel right. There are so many things that I've picked up on just simply by watching Queen and Lorraine on set. Even the rehearsal process is a delight. It really is a masterclass in acting, just watching those two women. And I feel so grateful to be able to work with them and also call them my family at this point too. I think it's something we all yearn for when we start out in this industry or in any industry is mentorship and just wanting someone to like tell us if we're doing this right and like, are we okay? Will this be okay? Please tell me what to do. And between Queen, Lorraine, and even our executive producer, Deborah Martin Chase, who have fulfilling and beautiful careers in this industry, I think I learned early on that they that I don't need validation from anybody, and literally just my presence and the fact that I'm here and I'm wanting to do a great job and I'm showing up giving you my 100% every single day is enough. You know, they've really um, inspired me while being able to work with them and call them my family. I've just been very grateful for that. My girls.
And also, so it's interesting that you spoke about Delilah because when I first watched, I am so used to the stereotypes of us that at first I'm just like, this is so unrealistic.
Yeah.
And then I realized Delilah is my sister.
Yeah.
Like so much. I've never seen the portrayal of a young Black girl where she fights for people who can't fight for themselves. And yes, at the beginning, I was like,
okay, girl. Yes. Okay.
But overall, you know how Robin McCall fights for justice, but you do as well as her daughter, in like your own space, and so does Aunt Vi. So how does it feel playing a character who wants to do well, and is generationally everybody wants to do well in her family?
Well, one, this is the first time you're seeing 3 generations of Black women in one household as well. Like, I don't know if 5 to 10 years ago you would have seen us on screen on network television, and strong, and also able to be like soft and vulnerable as well, like, and communicate. And yeah, it's very open. The household is that of like a 2024 household. It feels very present day. And again, being on network television, that's not something that you would get 10 years ago, you know? And they're all fueling and inspiring each other. We need each of these women for very different things. Like Aunt Vi she kind of bridges the gap a lot of the times between McCall or Robin McCall and Delilah. Delilah, as we know in the beginning, she was very fiery and she had a lot of energy and attitude that she just needed to hone in and find somewhere to place it. And Robin McCall, her mother, was a lot of inspiration for that, you know? And same with Robin McCall, you even see in season 5, like being able to have a life for herself and look at herself as not just someone who has to help other people, but also can help herself and talk about what she needs and act on those things too. It is the way that a very healthy family dynamic moves. Even when they have disagreements, it doesn't break the entire relationship of our family either. So I guess to answer your question, it means so much to me, really. Like I I I've been lucky to be on Equalizer because so many things that Delilah was going through, I was experiencing like the year before. So like I feel like I'm like 1 year older than her in my normal life. At the time when I booked it, I was living with 3 generations of women in my home. My grandma was with me, my mom was with me, and I was obviously there too. So there were so many things, and still are so many things, that I take from my real life that I can place into Delilah, because we are literally right there at this point. And I also just want to say too, like, it's rare with teenage characters as well, where like the stereotype now for Gen Zers is, oh my god, we're always on our phone, and like that's all we care about is social media and doing like dance trends, which like we've definitely done a dance trend on Equalizer, but at the same time, like she's trying to use her platform for good, and she is trying to lead protests, and she is trying to help her friends. She's a part of the peer ear group. There's plenty of ways in which she's trying and putting effort in to be a good person, which, to have an arc like that, to see my character grow from season 1 to season 5, we don't even get that opportunity most of the time, to have a really fully fleshed out young girl and character and see her go through the ups and downs of just young teenagehood and life. um, so even though there's like this feeling of like, oh, I want to do good for the people who deserve good, and I want to give justice to these people because I'm inspired by my mom and the way that she does it, while also knowing, like, in this season she has a boyfriend and she's also experiencing just normal, regular teenage things too at the same time. And I think that in itself is just a gift as well for young Black women to see on screen, because we sometimes don't even get that. Sometimes it's always like, oh, we gotta solve every problem in the universe, or we have to carry a lot of weight on our shoulders, or we have to go through pain or trauma and all of that. And I appreciate about our show that we also depict therapy and the importance of it, and the importance of having a full life and being able to come sit at the table with your family members at the end of the day and eat dinner together. I enjoy and respect that we also value the smaller things, in that go on in regular day life. And just to add on to that too, that is certainly a detail that is added by our actors and by Lorraine and Queen and me. The importance of family is, like, I think, at the top of our mind when we do scenes together. And there's so many things that directors and writers are thinking about, and sometimes Lorraine will come up with just like the smallest detail that changes an entire scene, and same with Queen. So I've been able to even learn that from them.
Oh my gosh, it's like a master class every day. And then you also said healthy, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I think is the word I was looking for. It is a very healthy show.
Yeah, it's healthy.
And we do not get that. You come up as a family, and everyone is equal to the storyline.
Yep.
And this is a rarity.
It is. Yeah, no, it's true. It's very rare that you have a show where, of course, like, people love the action, and I love the action. I love that Robin McCall is like fighting these bad guys down in her like amazing Givenchy suit. Like, she gets down. But at the same time, I think what brings people back to the show is the family aspect of it, and that is kind of the beating heart of our show. Without it, it's not our Equalizer.
Yeah, no. Number one, what drew you to Angry Black Girl?
When Angry Black Girl and Her Monster came along, I mean, the first thing that I heard was the title, and I was like, what in the world am I getting myself into? And I was like, immediately when I saw the title, and what I saw so many people online were also having that same feeling when they saw it. It's like, got them mad and angry, and I was seeing videos about it. But when I first got the like email for it, I was like, well, no. I was like, I don't want to feed into any stereotypes, and this is going to feed into a stereotype. Why am I doing it? It's right there in the title. And then you read the script, and it's like, oh, like, this is completely different. And also, I did exactly what you wanted me to do. I got pissed off, and I was like, oh, they're putting us into a box and they're categorizing us. Like, no. That's what they do. That's what like white folks do. Actually look at who we are as people. And that's what the screenplay did for me. I read it early 2022, right before I auditioned, and like I did a bunch of Zoom auditions and Zoom chemistry reads that lasted for like 6 hours at a time. And by the end of it, and also when talking with our director Bomani, I felt it really is, I think, like when you're an artist or creative, like it's purely instinctual. So much of it comes from just your gut feeling. And sometimes I'm not even fully aware of it, but I can remember when I was in the audition cycle, I kept writing about Vicaria. I was like, I cannot stop thinking about her. I can't stop thinking about why she would do something like this. What is her mind thinking? What's her mentality? Um, what is the pain that she's feeling? And how is it manifesting into this? There were so many questions that I had because I had never seen a lead character like her before. And so that, plus talking with Vamani, who is our director and writer, who's an incredible artist in his own right, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. Had no idea what the experience was going to feel like and how the movie was going to come out. I think all of us cast members and crew were like, we're just going to try and make it the best that we could possibly make it and see what it turns out to be. We don't even know who's going to watch it, but we believe in it. And I think from day one, we all came to the table with, we want to do these characters justice. We want to do these people justice. And who knows what it will turn out to be, but as long as we give it our 100%, that's what matters. And it came out in, I think we premiered at South by Southwest in March of 2023, and it's created like a complete life of its own. And I think it'll go down as one of my favorite experiences that I've ever had.
I have so many feelings about Vicaria and the storyline and the ending and just the overall feeling about it. But what do you hope the audience, when they see it, have they seen it, take away from Vicaria and her journey?
So much. I hope. Oh God, there's so much. There's like a lot of layers, but I think at least with Vicaria, she's grieving. I think like one of the greatest things about that movie is we're showing very different versions of grief for everyone. Grief has surrounded her entire life. It starts with her mother, and then obviously with her brother, who is who's Frankenstein's creature in the way, and then some are, not spoiler, but no, you're good. But all that we must know is like she's surrounded by grief, and that's what's interesting about her character. She is taking on her grief, and it's manifesting in a way that nobody has ever done or thought of before. And she believes wholeheartedly in this one thing and is willing to do whatever it takes to prove to herself that she can do it, and also to prove to other people that this is real and this is what I believe. So if anything, I learned that from her, is how important it is, one, to like wholeheartedly believe in something, but two, the other part of that, you can't run away from your grief either, and you must allow yourself to feel everything that comes with losing your family or losing your friends or losing just your loved ones, especially within the Black community and the setting of the film. She's growing up in a place that's very difficult and also looks at her as kind of like the outcast or like the weird one or whatever who goes to the PWI. She's over doing some crazy, but so much can happen when we come together as people and as a community to band together. And then also on top of that, really being able to communicate and talk about your feelings and grieve in a, I don't know if in a healthy way is even a good way to put it, but taking the time to grieve, I think is one of our main messages. And then also, our movie is again in the same way with Equalizer. It's about family. It truly is. It's like, how far will you go for the people that you love and you care about? And you see that depicted in Vicaria, and you see that depicted with Vicaria's dad, and even with Jada, the young girl, who's in the unsung hero. You know, it is literally about family and love and um, what their impact on you can do to you as a person. So, yeah, I would probably take away that. But there's so much without like so many things.
You do a lot of voiceovers.
A lot of voiceover. Yes. Yes, I did.
How did it feel to be a part of the band?
I don't know, man. Like, it really is beyond my imagination. I started the show when I was 9, and I watched Doc before I voiced Doc, because I was the second Doc McStuffins to voice her, or the second actress to voice Doc McStuffins, not the second Doc McStuffins. But I watched the show when it premiered, and like I can vividly remember like the summer before I auditioned for it. I hadn't moved to California yet, so it had to be like 2012. Me and my cousin were sitting, and she was way younger than me, and she was like, "I want to watch Doc McStuffins," and I was like, "Okay, whatever, we'll see." And I watched it, and I was like, "This is so cool! Like somebody who looks like me, and she's like a toy doctor." The audition came along, and I had never done voiceover before. So I was 9, so it was more just like, this is going to be fun. I'll see what happens. And they were asking for somebody who could act and who could sing. And singing was my first love. And I was 6, and I was acting. So I auditioned, maybe took about a month or 2, and I booked it. And I had no idea the amount of impact it was going to have on me as a person, and I was definitely unaware of how impactful Doc was and was going to end up becoming for so many young people and people just in general. She has and will live on way, 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 way after we're all gone. But to be a part of that legacy, I think, one, like as a person and like my personal views already that I've mentioned here, it kind of started everything. Like the way I wanted characters that I played to be depicted, the way that I wanted those characters to make people feel, and the way I wanted my art to make people feel started with Doc. You know, I was getting calls from like 4-year-olds, and like my parents were like, "Hey, my friend's kid's cousin wants to talk to you, and she's 2. Can you sing Time for Your Checkup for her?" It was like kids would come up and be like, "Oh, can you take me to the checkup house, or can you show me Stuffy or Lammy?" And I was like 10, 11, 12 at the time, and of course I wasn't able to fully understand it until maybe I got a little bit older. I look back on it in retrospect, and I'm just like, wow, it starts there. Like I can remember the first time I felt seen watching television. It starts when you're 2. It starts when you're 4. It starts in those foundational years. The fact that that is a character they have to look up to, and that I get to voice her and be a part of their childhood in that way, I do not take that lightly at all. And I wear that Doc McStuffins like a badge of honor. I really do. Thank you.
To see all the representation, I never really saw growing up as much as like now. Completely. But I definitely believe when it, especially when it came to like positive and making sure she was very intelligent and kind and things like that. I do think Doc McStuffins like created that wave, and that's what
I think so too. And ahead of its time in some ways too, because like the mom on Doc McStuffins was like a full-time doctor and was like the working woman, and the dad was the stay-at-home dad who was like super chill. Like we were also expanding on what the household could look like too. And Doc was like, by the end of the show, like she had her own hospital. Like girl was successful. She was like, again, just like a positive and also intelligent way to represent Black women and young Black girls and show them that this is what they can be. I met someone at one of these universities like a couple months ago, maybe, and she was like in the medical program, and she said, I watched Doc McStuffins and it's the reason why I want to be a doctor. It was literally when I knew I wanted to help others.
Representation is everything.
It literally is everything. And like our impact as creatives in any sense of the world, in any sense of the word, impacts people in more ways than anybody could ever imagine. Art does that. Yeah. So yeah, Doc McStuffins is just again like an extension of that. And yeah, when I look back on it, it even helped me in so many ways as an actor. Like they took me under their wing, and they told me to sit and watch Loretta Devine and Laura Jill Miller in the studio, and I would just stay and watch so I could gain more knowledge on not only voiceover but how to like be in a VO booth. And like it was like the perfect first opportunity where I was kind of on like the outside looking in, because you're not obviously being seen, your face isn't being seen behind a microphone, but I got to learn so much as an actor and be able to play and mess up and start over again, just by being in that booth and being around people who made me feel safe. So.
Here's the last question. I feel like we can talk about it
forever. Yeah.
I love your insight and just like what you want to do, and your representation is just like you're very, very strong.
Thank you.
What do you hope somebody sees your journey now, still young, takes from it in regards to how they approach their career?
Oh gosh, this is another one of those questions where I hope for a lot of things.
Okay, three things.
Three things? Okay. Well, I hope that, especially for young Black actors and filmmakers, I hope that they take away that there's more than enough space for all of us, and that there's certainly space for you. Like, we need you here, truly. I've learned from my cast on Equalizer, and even with Doc, with Angry Black Girl, like small details matter, and who you are as a person matters so much more than we give ourselves credit for. What you are able to bring to the table just by being who you are is enough. Like just being who you are can get you your opportunity. Sharing your story can be that opportunity for you, you know? So I would say like value yourself and uh, know that what you bring to the table is enough. So I hope that they understand or can take away that from my career. Also, not to limit yourself. I think it's so easy to be categorized and put into a box, especially as a Black actress. Um, and people are going to tell you what you can do and what you can't do, and the types of like characters you should be playing, or what's going to work best for your business or whatever else. But I did not know that voiceover was something I could get into when I first started, and I've now been doing voiceover for 10 years. I started a video game about 4 or 5 years ago now. Did not know motion capture and gaming work was something that you could do as an actor. And I won a BAFTA in 2023 because of that role, you know? I even something like the HBCU Film Fest, you start figuring out that there is such a need for you and for your art, but you can't get there if you're not open-minded and you are limiting your ideas or even creating certain ideas about yourself. Do not limit yourself, and know that there is no ceiling to what you are capable of doing and becoming. And then three, I would say like work ethic. Like it is important too to like go back to the basics, and that really is just working hard and studying. Like watch as many movies and TV shows as possible and read and have a full life and look at everything and everybody um, as a way to learn from them and uh, also use it for your art as well. Like you can learn so much from acting class, and you can also learn so much from living your full life as well. All of that encapsulates being a good actor and a good artist, and actually separates like the good from the great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yay.